Hey guys, so I want to talk to you about a few things. The thing I want to talk to you about is the types of sentences in English. There's four. We'll talk about those. Um, I want to talk about clauses because you're going to hear that word a lot and it's sometimes not easy to understand. And then we'll talk about the most common types of mistakes I'm seeing in your writing that I would like you not to make. All right. So first of all, there are four types of sentence. The first one is simple sentence. A simple sentence contains one independent clause. It has a subject and a predicate and expresses a complete thought. A predicate is a verb and an object. Wow. Okay. So for example, Mary enjoys reading books. So Mary is the subject. That's the person or thing doing the action in the sentence. So what does she enjoy doing? She enjoys reading. So that's the verb. And what does she enjoy reading? She enjoys reading books. So this is called the predicate. Um, Now, just because it's a simple sentence doesn't mean it has to necessarily be a small sentence. You can make it as long as you want. Mary enjoys reading cookbooks. Mary enjoys reading 18th century Victorian cookbooks. Mary enjoys reading 18th century French cookbooks that focus on. Well, no, that just changed it. We went to that. So, but you can make your sentence longer, using adjectives and other nouns and things like that. Um, and that's a simple sentence. An independent clause. We're going to talk about clauses in a minute. Just remember that. It'll make a lot more sense in a minute. Next is compound sentence. So a compound sentence consists of two or more independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction. So I was taught as a kid fanboys. 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 Um, there was also a great song called Conjunction Junction. What's your function? The whole idea is how you put clauses together. Um, Two or more independent clauses by a coordinating conjunction. Mary enjoys reading books. This by itself is a good sentence. By itself, it's a complete sentence. You have the subject, you have the verb, you have the object. These two are called the predicate. But John prefers watching movies. John prefers watching movies, its own sentence by itself. Great. Now we have a conjunction, but. So that is where it's a conjunction. You can also, by the way, use a semicolon. I know colons and commas and all these sound really confusing, but it's the one that looks like a. I can just do it like this. I can just show you. That's a semicolon. It has a period floating over a comma. And this is a colon. So that's a full colon. That's a semicolon. That's a winky face. So there you go. Mary enjoys reading books, but John prefers watching movies is a compound sentence. You have two completely full sentences that you put together with one of the fanboys, for and or but yet so, or a semicolon. Mary enjoys reading, semicolon. John prefers watching movies. You wouldn't say the but. The semicolon is a flag. It's like, I know these are two complete sentences that we're sticking together. It's a bit fancy. It's a nice way to make your writing look fancy. But if it's overdone, it makes your writing stale. Next, complex sentence. A complex sentence consists of one independent clause and at least one dependent clause. A dependent clause cannot stand alone as a complete sentence. Usually they have adverbs. An adverb is, okay, so adjectives, like you could use the adjective for me, old or handsome or wise, remarkable, gentle, kind, genius. Yes, all of those work for me. So that's an adjective. Adjectives describe a noun. Adverbs can describe verbs, other adverbs, prepositions, or nouns. Wait, adverbs suck. Adverbs are terrible. I'm not going to lie. But a dependent clause usually starts with an adverb clause. Usually is an adverb, by the way. So, for example, although Mary enjoys reading books, she hasn't had much time for it lately. So, although here's an adverb. Although Mary enjoys reading books is not a sentence. Because of the word although, you know that there needs to be something to close the door. You've opened the door with although, but now you got to close it. She hasn't had much time for it lately. So that closes the door. So that's how I like to think of independent clauses. One opens the door, the other closes the door. We'll look at some examples in a minute when we discuss that. But complex sentences are a useful way of making your paper look more advanced. Not gonna lie. Compound complex sentences. A compound complex sentence consists of two or more independent clauses and at least one dependent clause. Now, I want to show you this. Grammarly hates this. I use Grammarly. Grammarly hates it. Grammarly wants me to put this clause down here and take away the but. I also typically do not recommend compound complex sentences just because I think they cloud the reader's understanding and they get in the way. It's very fancy writing. It's really incredible if you can pull it off, but pulling it off is really difficult. So I don't normally recommend going for that. Oh, I see my dog is waking up. Hey, Mimi. Hey, Mimi. You gonna say hey? Okay. Lazy dog. All right. Now let's talk about clauses. Independent clauses. An independent clause is a group of words that contain a subject, verb, and express a complete thought. It can stand alone as a sentence. The sun was shining brightly. That's a sentence. The sun, subject, was shining, verb, brightly. Describing the verb, adverb. Yep, cool. Dependent clause. A dependent clause is a group of words that contain a subject and a verb, but does not express a complete thought. What? It relies on an independent clause to form a complete sentence. So it opens the door, but it needs another part to close the door. So, because the sun was shining brightly, what? We decided to go to the park. Something like that. So this opens the door. The door is open, and you need to close it. Okay? Now let's talk about the errors I'm seeing. We have run-on sentences, fragments, and comma splices. So, what is a run-on sentence? It occurs when two or more independent clauses are not connected correctly. So Mary enjoys reading books. She prefers fiction. Well, there needs to be something here. Or there's a few ways of fixing it. You can make it two sentences, or you can make a semicolon, or and she prefers reading. She prefers fiction. Also, something like that. So there's a few ways of fixing it. Fragments. So a sentence fragment is an incomplete sentence. It's usually in my experience, it's a dependent clause that's just left floating. You've opened the door, but you've never closed it. So, for example, running late for the bus. Who? What? Where? When? What? Who? Wait, what? 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 Wait, what? So that's a fragment. Comma slice. A comma slice occurs when two independent clauses are joined by a comma without an appropriate coordinating conjunction or punctuation. So, Mary enjoys reading books. John prefers watching movies. So there's a few ways of fixing this. Yay, you have a comma, but you need some more. You need the word and. Or you could have had a semicolon, John, or a period, John. Those are the three ways of fixing it. So these are the three kinds of mistakes I'm seeing in a lot of your writing. And I would like you to cut that out. All right? I hope this video helps.